All right, now the Department of Arts and Culture is this morning launching the National Heritage Monument. Basically, this is acknowledging and celebrating those who have fought for our freedom. Ayanda is at the event, which is at the Groenkloof Nature Reserve in Pretoria. Ayanda, it's over to you again.
A very good morning to you once again, Leanne. Proceedings are well underway. So if you hear some cheers and claps and laughter, it's coming from my left. That's the marquee where the officials have now gathered. We have the Premier of Gauteng, Mr. David Makhura. You spoke to a little bit earlier, the Executive Mayor of Tshwane, Mr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa. He's also here, as well as Nathi Mthethwa, the Minister in the Department of Arts, Culture and Heritage. They're underway in there, the proceedings that are why we have gathered here today. But I'm going to speak to someone who's also quite involved in this whole process. Remember, I told you a bit earlier that public works was part of this, tourism was part of this, the arts and culture was part of this. It's a multi-ministerial approach. But also we have the National Heritage Council and the CEO thereof, Advocate Sonwabile Mangqotywa. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning to you and also morning to the listeners.
It's always a pleasure to have you with us, Advocate. Just run us through briefly what your role was in the event today.
Remember, the Heritage Council is responsible for policy, were the voice of heritage, public awareness, transformation of our heritage. If you look at monuments like these, they play a role in redress of our heritage. We should remember that in South Africa we had a negotiated settlement, and that negotiated settlement we had, the previous, order, and then now. To redress the current. It therefore means that this government was faced with the responsibility of ensuring that we bring, the heritage, subverted heritage that was subverted for a long time. Hence we have this, liberation heritage and these statues and monuments.
Some may argue that bread and butter issues are more important. Why is it essential that we remember our heritage?
It's important because anything that you can do without heritage, because remember, Madiba spoke of RDP of the soul, and that on its own, it therefore meant that we can have shelter, you can have housing, you can have jobs, but if a nation has not, you have not covered matters of heritage, matters of identity, countries go to war because of heritage, because they feel that certain things have not been done in a particular way, like Israel and Palestine today. So heritage is very much important. It's something that we cannot do without as a society. So these statues are also very much important, but they will play a role in educating the youth, the tourism. But we do many things for tourism in this country and for foreign nationals, not for ourselves. Now we need to do those things for our kids.
Advocate, we'll have to leave it there, at least for now. I'm sure our viewers at home can see every now and again we see one or two people just walking through our shot. And that is because, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, two programs running simultaneously, Morning Live and, of course, the official launch of the National Heritage Monument. And that's where we'll see the officials doing the honors. So I'm going to ask you to be my co-host today, Advocate, and come alongside me as we do welcome some of the officials to do the honors of unveiling the more than 50 statues that will be part of the 400 that will eventually call this place home. We have from the Department of Art, Culture and Heritage, Mr. Nathi Mthethwa. He's also followed by the Premier of the province of Gauteng, David Makhura, and Kgosientsho Ramokgopa. He is the Executive Mayor of Tshwane. They'll do the official honors. And you'll see in just a moment or two behind those black curtains there, that big red ribbon, are the more than 50 statues that loom large. They are life-size statues of heroes and heroines of different races from South Africa's history. Not only modern history, pre-colonial, post-colonial, anti-apartheid struggle icons. There you can see them right in front there. Mr. O.R. Tambo himself. We'll be speaking to his son in a moment or two, Dali Tambo, who had a very strong role to play in the realization of what we're seeing here today. And it's not just recent history, as I mentioned to you as well. We have the likes of King Faku, who are here as well. King Shaka is here. Different ethnicities. Mr. Yusuf Idadu. His statue also looms large here. Quite realistic as well, I must tell you. We spoke to an artist a little bit earlier who talked to us about the process involved in putting all of these sculptures together, that it's more than just a one-man show, in that there's an artist who then makes a mold, and after the mold it then goes into a factory where we'll then cast bronze onto it. So it's quite a detailed event. And there's the walk. In fact, this whole area has been called a long walk to freedom. And you'll see marching along triumphantly the various individuals, someone who we were celebrating not too long ago, the death of this individual, Mr. Steve Biko. He's also here. And I think it's quite important to note as well that it's not only men, women are here, and the phenomenal role that they played, of course, in the liberation of South Africa. And during their very own long walk to freedom, I suppose this morning you do have the officials that you're seeing on screen as we speak here. Mr. Hossein Suramakhopa, the executive mayor of Tshwane, he spoke to us about how elaborate this theme park will be eventually, that it will house more than just these statues, but it will also have a theme park, a water park. It will also have an arts and craft market. There will be hotels and restaurants here. That it's not just about our history and heritage, but it will also stimulate and revitalize the local economy in this particular part of South Africa. And that it really just wraps up very nicely the whole process of the history of this part of the country. We have various monuments all around the Tshwane or Pretoria area, and they will be showcased in this tourism extravaganza, I think one might call it. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Pretoria. It is the Groenkloof Nature Reserve. Also speaking to the mayor a little bit earlier, he said they may consider a name change. It could eventually be called the National Heritage Monument. Of course, those discussions will come a little bit later. But from here, let's call it wraps, at least for now. Quick ad break. Morning Live continues after this. Stay with us.